Hello, good morning from Japan. Welcome to February 1st, 2026. This is my Good Life Meditation. My name is Kurt Bell. This is an exercise that I do each and every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined and explained in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met. Was there anything particularly challenging where I did well or poorly, where I can review and discover what went successful or what went bad so I can fix and improve? I go over my creed and I prepare for the coming day. But before I do any of that, I always like to say welcome to new subscribers to the channel and a hearty thank you to my YouTube supporters, my members on YouTube, and my Patreon supporters. And if someone could please give me a sound check to let me know if the audio is working. Yesterday's video I had to delete because there was no audio all the way through, but I was glad to see that those in comments we had a nice time together chatting while I was droning on in silence. So if someone, and there we go, Japan Monomore, there you are. Thank you. And we have sound. Good. And Tim is there as well. Hi, Tim. Sound is good. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Sorry, I don't know what happened yesterday. I was all messed up on the live. I had the vertical format going. The sound was turned off. Yikes. And I wasn't checking comments. So I'm going to make it a point to make sure I look at comments right from the beginning to see if there's if ongoing going forward basis to make sure if there's a problem so that I don't do like I did yesterday. There normally, and for new subscribers or new viewers, I typically don't respond to comments until I'm done. That's so that I can keep the flow of what's going on. I will read and respond to all comments when I get to the end, but I will, on a going forward basis, check to see if there's any technical issues being communicated to me right from the get go so that I can address those. But I do have one technical issue here. My Another candle went out, so let me light a big candle. I bought these expensive candles. I found them at an antique store last weekend. The proprietress had a nice selection, but even though they're expensive, they don't work as well. The slot is made from modern candle holders, and I have antique candle holders which have long uh, metal rods that stick up into the candle. As a result, they don't stick in all the way. Anyway, that isn't so important. Let's get started. First, have I covered everything? Disclaimer, yes. Oh, I do talk about death reliably every day. So just keep in mind if that's something that's sensitive to you. You'll probably hear me talk about my expectations for my own death. Let's get started looking at my notes. I'm not going to go over everything that I went over yesterday, so I won't repeat myself, but also I'll just go over the last 24 hours. Oh, hold on. I've got to do one more thing. I've had a couple of mildly viral videos this week, and there's a lot of new subscribers to the channel. So, hello, new subscribers to the channel. So, I need to do a little bit of an introduction and a little bit of housekeeping. So, by way of introduction for new subscribers, my name is Kurt. I'm a 60, almost 2 year old, 60, almost 62-year old retiree American living here in the city of Shizuoka, Japan, right at the Satoyama outskirts of the countryside. I live here with my wife, Yumiko, of almost 40 years together, and we have a grown daughter, Emily, who lives up in Tokyo and is pursuing her own life. I'm retired from the IT sector in the United States from California, living here in Japan, retired. Like I said, spending most of my time gardening, walking dogs with my wife, and a lot of time with my wife. But I'm struggling with said retirement, so I've done a number of things. I talk about those struggles a lot, including getting a part-time job, which seems to be doing wonderfully helpful in that end. Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. What else? I have a long history on YouTube. If you look at my channel, I go back lots of different brands and playlists for different things over time. I've most of my work on YouTube has been outward focused, going places, doing things. Now I find myself in a period of life where, in the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the wise man stays at home. So I find myself hopefully, attaining some level of wisdom, as I seem to be um, for no better reason than simply because I want to, spending more and more of my time at home. So thank you, Mr. Emerson, for leading the way, for showing me the way. But now let's get to the housekeeping part. I'm making a change to YouTube. So my normal YouTube routine at this point is that I do this video every morning at 5:30 a.m. I've done this exercise, if not the video itself, at least the exercise every morning, first thing since December 2018. So I'm on a long streak of doing this. This is a really helpful exercise for me as it helps me to tune my life. Basically, I wrote a book. I wrote several books, but I wrote this book, Going Alone, to catalog my values. And it's in the course of an adventure that takes place deep in the desert, going alone. And so after I finished writing Going Alone and I had cataloged these values, this creed, I realized I need to find a way to apply that creed regularly to my life. So I came up with this idea of doing what I call the Good Life meditation. The Good Life is the name of the creed, nod to the Stoics. And I do this every morning to think about what happened in the last 24 hours so that I can apply the values to either where I did well or where I did poorly. See the idea? I'm tuning. It's like, eat thy own dog food, right? Is that a Greek phrase? I don't know. Anyway, so I've been doing that every day and I continue to do that. And this is all will always be a part of my life as long as I can able and capable of doing it. And even if I can't raise the camera, turn the camera on, I'll still do it in my head every day. But I do a lot better job when I turn the camera on. That's why I started doing this publicly, even though I'm not even reading comments right now. I'm just talking away because I find that when I have a potential of an audience, I do a better job at self-analysis, even though I don't share as many personal details. But I will do a better job. So anyway, this video, remember I'm on to the housekeeping part, what I do every day on YouTube. This video is every day. Another video that can be recently relied upon at least several times a week is a very long garden video where I take my other iPhone and I set it up in the garden when I'm out there and I just let it film for hours and hours and hours of whatever I'm doing out there. And then I just upload the whole video, lock, stock, and barrel with no edits. That's yesterday's video was the longest yet at 4+ hours, just over 4 hours. These videos are meant to be ambient um, company. The reason I started doing those was I would have these storms outside my balcony here, and I would turn the camera on and just let it run and record the storms. And I got so many comments from people that said that they would just turn that on and run it in the background remember I live here in the Japanese borderland between the countryside and the city, so there's lots of nature going on around me. So I do those videos to allow others to share the experience of this quiet, retired life. I've also recently started doing some more spot videos in the Retiring in Japan series, which is a 5 season series that I did in the process of making my transition from out of the working world in America to being retired in Japan. I completed that series as well as a book of the same name. But I'm finding now that, especially now that I'm doing taxes for the first year in retirement in both Japan and the United States, I'm finding I'm learning a lot. So I'm making these little spot videos, talking about my tax journey. And those are turning out to be very popular, which is not the aim I'm necessarily after, although it's nice. That's one of the reasons I'm getting a lot of new subscribers, and I'm going on and on with my introduction, is to so that people can catch up with who I am and what I'm about. But those videos are going to become piecemeal as they come about. However, since I stopped, and this is where the real news is, since I stopped making the Retiring in Japan series, both my wife and my sister in law, who figured prominently in those daily videos that were compilations of the day during the first year of our full retirement transition, um, I think they kind of miss it. They miss the involvement, and they've both kind of said to me, nudge, nudge, maybe you ought to make those videos again. I think also partially my wife suggested that because she knows how much I enjoy doing those videos. So I've given it a lot of thought for a couple of weeks about starting that series back up. What I've decided to do, though, is to not resurrect Retiring in Japan because that series, with the exception of these little spot videos about retirement and Social Security, taxes, etc., with the exception of those little spot videos, that story is complete. Now I am no longer retiring in Japan. I am now retired in Japan. So this means that if I'm going to continue with those types of videos, which I really enjoyed doing in the company of my wife and my sister-in-law, I'll need to do it under the guise of a new brand. And I have given long and hard deliberation on that. And I've decided that the new brand will be titled At Home in Japan with a hashtag Japan Home. So that's the new brand, and I will be starting today. So today is a Sunday here in Japan. I'm going to finish here. There's no radio exercise today, so I'm going to head up to the top of the mountain to have a coffee with the fellas, as I call them, up on the mountain, and then after that we'll I'll have breakfast and a dog walk and a breakfast with my wife. Then we're going to pick up Yoko and go to the flea market to do the flea market thing, etc., etc. And I'm going to pick up snippets of video along the way with the idea of editing and producing by the end of the day, the first in the At Home in Japan series, which will not necessarily be daily. It will be piecemeal as the opportunity presents itself. Well, there you go. There's a long introduction and a little bit of housekeeping with regard to what I'm doing video wise here on YouTube. By the way, for those who are new, sometimes hear me talk about something called The Situation, aka the horror show that I'm currently dealing with in my life. Horror show is a principle from my book that describes when bad life goes badly, and it goes really badly, really bad. And I'm currently going through that type of a thing right now. Now I can't talk about it because it's not my horror show, but I'm definitely involved, and it's still ongoing. So if you're new to the channel, you might hear me talk about this in the days and weeks and possibly even today ahead as I continue to deal with the horror show as it unfolds. And it continues to get worse. But can you see what's happening here? I'm kind of, this horror show began in October, and my whole world kind of went black and white. The colors all drained away out of life. And I kept doing everything, and I went back to America for 3 weeks and attended to the horror show over there, and it left me like a man drained away. I feel like I'm starting to come back, in spite of the fact that the horror is ongoing. I feel like I'm moving my way into the other side of that. But with that said, let's go ahead and review the notes. I do keep a notebook where I keep notes about every day of my life, and I write down what was noteworthy in the last 24 hours. And all I have for yesterday's was that it was all day at home, part two. And then the day before that, the Friday, was all day at home. Literally, Yumiko and I spent all day here. She was working on some DIY work down in the Senmenjo, which is the laundry room downstairs in our house here. And I spent the entire day outside working in the garden, cleaning and trimming in the bamboo forest, working on the garden beans and trimming the pawana trees along the river, as well as the sasa dwarf bamboo. And I cleaned up around the yuzu tree, making space there. And I removed a lot of roots around the, uh, the border between the walkway to the guard to the bamboo forest. I did a lot of work. And what's really good is that I'm not worn out like I used to be. Used to be, even in wintertime, if I spent 2 hours in the garden, I'd be beat up for the rest of the day. I seem to have achieved a state of fitness relative to garden work. So I don't have a lot to comment on about yesterday. There was really no challenges or opportunities, although I did have some good talks with my wife about our taxes and to make sure we're going to go see the Japan tax office here next week to talk with them to make sure that we do everything on the up and up. It scares me. It makes me it's a bit nail biter because I found out I owe big money to the United States that I thought I was going to get a refund for 2025 taxes. Our first year of retirement. Turns out I owe them a lot of money. And now I'm confident that even if I owe the Japanese government a lot of money, I won't have to pay it because of the tax treaty that makes sure that we don't have double taxation. At least have to report it, but good gosh, it's the Roth IRA. It's the Roth IRA because Japan doesn't have the equivalent that I'm worried about. damn Roth IRA. Okay, so then creed. My creed consists of, and you can read the creed in Going Alone. Just go to goingalone.org, click on the link titled Read the Book, look for the chapter titled The Good Life, and you can follow along. The creed consists of the following 8 objectives. Number 1, to at all times be ready for death. See, I told you I talk about my death. Having my affairs, my relationships, my life's work in order so that I don't die leaving a messy, untidy, or unkempt or unprepared house, so that my wife will be cared for after I'm gone, that my affairs are in order. The most important books, 18 most important books of my life, are laid out right there for my daughter. She knows that those are the ones that dad thought were the best books of my life. My book is written and it's sitting here on my desk. My wife is taking care of the rest of her life financially. And I don't have anybody that I have a sour relationship with. So I'm ready for death. Yeah, bring it on. I mean, I hope not. I hope I get to see you guys tomorrow. But if I do die today or in my sleep tonight, then at least I'm prepared. See, I told you I'd talk about it. It's not so bad, right? Yeah, hardly hurt at all. Okay, the second objective is to make good and effective use of my time, so that I'm liberating good utility out of the day, out of each hour, as to the best of my ability. The third objective is to make, and someone just popped onto the website from China. Wow. There's been a lot of visits to my website from China. I see a little banner show up every time someone drops by. It's amazing how many people go to goingalone.org. I see a steady stream of visitors throughout the day. I really should do something with that website. And by the way, a big nod and thank you to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members, because it's through the largesse of your contributions and support that I'm able to have that website at all. My third objective is to develop and maintain the aforementioned objectives and principles, which I do every day via this video. My fourth objective is to cultivate good emotional reactions, probably the most actionable objective in my creed, or I'm throughout the day working very hard to make sure that I'm responding well to difficult situations. That when life ambushes me, that I'm not flying off the handle or rushing to snap judgments, but using hashtag reason along with a hashtag social principle and hashtag temperance to control and be mature in my responses and my calculated activities and efforts to remediate and address difficult situations. The fifth objective is to apply my values to the world in such a way that I'm yielding good ends in proportion and in accordance with said values. That's just basically a way of saying living according to my values. You know, eating my own damn dog food. My sixth objective is to um, to recognize where the true limits and true opportunities in my life are, so that I'm reaching for things that I can actually grab, and letting alone applying hashtag apathy to the things that are beyond me. The seventh objective is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. My eighth objective is to attain and maintain a state of balance in my life in both mind and body, so that I'm not stumbling along through life. I want to show you the uh, daffodils. Are the first flowers growing in my garden. Isn't that pretty? I didn't mean to cut this. It just popped up in my garden. A whole bunch of daffodils just popped up from some past gardener that once tilled the land there. But I knocked it over with a rake, so I liberated it from its broken stem and brought it into the room. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, now that I've talked about my 8 objectives, let me go over one of the principles. There's 35 principles, so I can't read all of them or talk about all of them in each day. So I pick one. So today I'm going to talk about the principle titled Life Will Not Go Well. If you're following along on the Going Alone Home Edition, you can find Life Will Not Go Well on page 260 of the hardbound edition. I'm going to read it. Life will not go well. It's exactly what the title suggests. I'll be damned if I don't nearly always stumble, trip, slip, or otherwise get bounced around, turned backwards, and have the hardest time keeping a straight line towards the objects and ends I set myself to reach or achieve. I wrote these words back in 2017, so I've gotten a little better since then. It's like life is this imperfectly evaluated landscape of changing textures, seasons, and weather, where winds suddenly gust from one side and slippery ice appears on the ground as a in a shady hollow, or a lurking beast stalks and jumps from behind, and a friend hails us demanding our time and attention, and our bodies complain and yield to fatigue, disease, and our ever increasing weakness of capacity and uncertainty regarding want. Hmm. Sounds a little familiar right now. Lack of capacity or certainty regarding want. Just what the hell am I going to do with myself now that I'm not working and free? That's exactly what that is. That we ever get anywhere we've set out for is an amazing feat, demonstrative of strong object principles. Yeah, we hope, right? Sometimes it's just flailing around. Sometimes it's just going with the current. At the demonstrative of strong object principles, seemingly indefatigable will, and a wisdom arrived at by way of experience, reflection, and resolve. Life will not go well, but we certainly can if we try. Always tossing in my indefatigable optimism into every setting. As stark as my worldview is, it is optimistic. Okay, as for today, what am I going to do today? Well, I already covered that. I'm going to be finish up here, and then I'm going to go up and to drive up to, I'll grab my little dog who's buried under covers right there. Can you see his head? Oh, you can't see his head. He's all completely buried in there. Rudy's in there somewhere. I'm going to uncover my dog, and then I'll take the dog and me. We're going to go to 7-Eleven earlier in the pre-dawn hours, where I'll see my friend from Myanmar. Um, uh, I work with young men and women from Southeast Asia. The job that I have, the Tuesday, Thursday job that I have, is working at a Japanese language school. I'm an English teacher at a Japanese language school, and my students are young men and women from Southeast Asia who have literally come to Japan seeking a better life for themselves and their families. And as a result, I have great empathy now that I know the stories and understanding for those who I see working at convenience stores here in Japan from many of those same countries. And I have a friend from Myanmar at the 7-Eleven I go to, and I see her every Sunday morning, and we have a nice talk. I'll get my coffee, and then I'll head up to the mountain to hang out with Corey and the fellas. And then after that, it'll be a day of antiquing, et cetera, et cetera. And I may even make a first um, at home in Japan video. Let's read comments. Japan and Monomore, and Tim, thank you again for the sound check going forward. And again, for those of you that have arrived since then, I apologize for no video yesterday because looks like I went the whole thing without any audio. There was some audio issue, and so I deleted the whole thing because why keep a soundless video up, right? But thank you for those that attended, and I was glad to see you all could have chat nicely amongst each other. You didn't need me. Robert says, "Hey, Robert." Robert says hello to myself, and Tim, and Japan Monomore. And Robert chimes in that it's currently negative 11 degrees Celsius and 52% humidity with an air quality index of 30 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Wow, that's cold. As for here, Robert, it looks like it's just at 0 degrees and about 70% humidity. Japan Monomer says hello to Robert, and Tim says good morning, and Tim's chiming in with his weather check from the UK. At 8:35 p.m. is 7.4 C. At least on the nice positive side, 92% humidity, an overcast shower day. Your rains are back. The UK is slowly drowning. It sounds like every day, except for the last day or so, you've been inundated with rain. Time to get the wellies out. Tim says hi to Robert and April. Is April here? April, I didn't see April's comment. Hello, April, if you're here. Uh, Evelyn, hi, Evelyn, says hello to myself, Japan Monomore, Tim, and Robert. Tim says hello to Evelyn. Robert says hello to Evelyn. Lori Jane Child 1505, welcome. First time I've seen your name here. Good afternoon to you. I'm glad you're here. And Frances Cozanetti 568, welcome to you as well. First time I've seen you here as well. What part-time job do you do? Oh, I don't know if you heard me describe it because this comment came from a long time ago, but I got a really, really cool job working as an English teacher at I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, as at a Japanese language school. And I do two things. On Tuesdays, I teach for an hour and a half in the morning, two classes, teaching English to very high level learners. And then on Thursdays, I do another hour and a half in the afternoon. I'm the leader of the English club for the school. First job since dishwasher that I really, really, really like. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy this? I mean, I get to spend time with young adults, the exact demographic for which my life's work targets, and talking to them about their ambitions and their challenges, trying to get ahead abroad, away from their families and homes. With a lot of weight on their shoulders of responsibility. I really, really love it. Feels like a very meaningful job. Evelyn says hello to Lori. Penguin says hello to Lori. Lori is waving. Robert says hello to Lori, and Francis. Can I just call you Francis? Tim says, I'm certainly finding in retirement, home is where the heart is. There is kind of a reluctance to go traveling these days, although winter doesn't help. I can bet. You know what? I can spend, I could never do this before, Tim, literally before retirement. I could never spend much time at home. I was always wanted to be somewhere else doing something else. But like yesterday, just hours and hours just passed. And, my wife and I are like, two sailors on a great ship going through the sea, passing each other's one is climbing the what do you call them, the sheets to do something in the sails, and the other is going down to attend the rudder or something like that. We're like crew members on a ship. Japan Monomor says hello to Evelyn, and writing in Greek from Athens. I guess that's some sort of a Greek greetings, which I imagine that Evelyn can understand, given that Evelyn has lived in Greece. Elvina. Hello, Elvina. Good morning to you. Elvina says hello to myself, Japan, Monomor, Tim, Robert, Evelyn, and Lori. Tim says, I was amazed. Oh, hold on. I lost a candle. I was amazed you can see the river now from your balcony. You really have thinned out the bamboo. Tim, that was something that I didn't realize that we could see. I knew I could hear the river from my balcony, but I didn't know I could see the river if I thinned the bamboo. So suddenly, and also thinning the bamboo improves the clarity of the sound as well. I imagine in summer it's going to be very nice when I have the windows open and I can hear the gurgling of the stream. And now that I can actually see the river as well, really nice, and have more work to do. I'm going to get one of those pole saws because I have some trees that they're too big for me to cut. So I want to cut the thing above, right? So without cutting the whole tree down. Tim says hello to Elvina. Evelyn says hello in Greek, I guess something in Greek, to Japan Monomor. Maybe we can meet up for Ozaki when I come to Athens. Ooh, you too. Look at that. Yeah, I don't know what Ozaki is. I guess it sounds like something fun to do and drink, or maybe. Lori says hi to Elvina. Evelyn says hi to Elvina and Francisco. And Tim says, I always enjoyed your visits to rural cafes with Yumiko and Yoko. That's kind of what happened. I mean, we've been doing everything. Yoko and Yumiko and I, every weekend we're going places. I just haven't been lifting the camera. And you can kind of tell, like, we would sit down at this great meal or something like that. And the ladies would kind of look at me like, Kurt, aren't you going to do your thing? And I'm like, itadakimasu. Looks like today I'm going to start doing my thing. And it's good to know, but I guess the break was kind of nice because it helps me to realize that, because sometimes I worry that, me lifting the camera amidst all of that might be an imposition on the ladies, but it looks like they both enjoy it as well. Elvina says, very cold and sunny here today. A good day for quick runs outside and lots of laundry. Sounds like a nice one. Japan Monomor says, hello to Elvina. Lori says, still laundry if put on the clothesline. Stiff laundry if put on the clothesline. Yeah, that's right. It does get stiff on there. My wife tells me, because it's my job to hang the laundry. She has me shake, like shake it, and that seems to help, but it still gets stiff. Lori said, Robert, aka Believe in Yourself, says hi to Elvina. Robert says, I'm doing laundry at this moment. Elvina says to Lori, I dried some in the dryer and some hanging outside. Well, there's an equitable trade off. Tim says, my laundry never goes outside. It's always raining here. So that makes you wonder, Tim, what did Britners, is that a term? Can I call you Britners? What did the citizens of the British Isles, I don't know if that's a term either, do back in the old days when it would rain for weeks at a time? Did they just like wear the same thing over and over again? Elvina says, my mom hung clothes outside in the winter, especially anything white, which came out whiter. Ooh, nice. We just had another visitor to Going Alone from somewhere. I missed it. Robert says, yes, Kurt, you're coming back better, faster, stronger. The $6 million man adjusted for inflation. You can see it. Thank you, Robert. Thank you for the feedback. I do feel like the horror show, even though this horror show is ongoing, my body in a way has kind of said enough. I continue every day I attend to the horror, but it's like time to get on and carry on with my life too. Thank you, Robert, for the feedback. Robert says, I don't buy white clothes anymore. They don't stay white very long when I wear them. I know that. I'm taking a great risk wearing this white sweater with a white t shirt. Robert says, or Japan Monomura says to Robert, see ya tomorrow on Hiko Simon. To Oyaji's, I think. What? Are you guys going to be on Hiko Simon tomorrow? Um, are you talking about Hiko? What's going on? Is it Hiko Simon? Is Hiko Simon doing his? Oh, two Oyaji's. That would be with Victor. That's right. Is that what's happening? You guys usually show up together in the comments. I love watching and attending, but I always miss their show. Guys, we're talking about two J vloggers, Hiko Simon and Victor, aka Give Me a Break Man, who regularly do a show called Two Oyachis. It's a spinoff on like Two and a Half Men, the old show. Just another visitor and Going Alone from China. See, a lot of people coming in from China these days. Gigi, hello, Gigi underscore Eshon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How much did you pay? Welcome to the live. How much did you pay for your house in yen before the renovations? So this house was 9 million yen, and then we added about another 1.5 million yen in renovations. Elvina says, Kurt, is your diet better now you are living full time in Japan? Hmm. I'd say that my diet is roughly the same because I don't cook and I rely on my wife to sustain me. And she cooks the same here that she cooked in the States. So my diet really hasn't changed. Although, and I didn't eat junk food in America, and I really don't eat junk food here. We go out, but I'm very careful about everything that I eat. I have been for years. So not really. I've lost a lot of weight since I shouldn't say. I have lost weight since I've come to Japan, but I think that's more to do with the amount of exercise that I'm getting now that I don't sit in front of a computer 5 days a week, at work. Robert says, "Oh yeah, that'll be fun." Well, I hope maybe I'll join you guys in comments if I spot the live if them doing it. Robert says hi to Gigi Eshen. Oh, there you go. That was the person who asked the question about the how much my house cost. Uh, uh, Elvina says, my children know that what my favorite books are. They are a special shelf in my room. I also kept some of my late father's favorite books. You and I do the same thing. I put together that bookshelf there of my 18 favorite books, 18 most important books of my life. I also included at the very end of Going Alone that exact list as well. And it's at the end of all of my books. I have a Kurt's recommended reading section. It's all those same 18 books. Elvina says hello to Gigi. Tim says, the one thing I'm planning for the garden is to get a hold of some reclaimed Victorian chimney pots about waist height and plant them up with alpine plants. That's if it ever stops raining here. That sounds so good, Tim. You and I are such a like mind. I want to populate my garden with crockery that I can then utilize as for planters. So you and I have so many similarities of mind, Tim. Hopefully one day I'll either get a chance to sit with you at a pub for a pint on your end, sitting out the rain, or maybe likewise here. That goes for all of you. If you guys, any of you find yourself here in Japan, come by and visit me, and you come to the Shizuoka area, come visit me. It happens all the time. I have a visitor coming by. I'm going to meet them on after I finish work. I'm going to meet them downtown, and we're going to have lunch together. So or tea, so all of you, that's an open invitation to anybody. Robert says, when it gets a little warmer, I look forward to giving the vacuum hoses in the engine bay of my car a thorough check, amongst other maintenance. Sounds like the kind of thing that's a good idea to do. Tim says the daffodils here in the UK will usually start appearing in March. Oh, one of the things I did mention in yesterday's video that got deleted was that when I posted the photo of the daffodils blooming in my yard yesterday, that I posted it on X, where there's a huge population of Japan uh, content creators. And I got really interesting responses from people showing their daffodils in their part of Japan, which included photographs of a snowbank up in Hokkaido. And I realized that, as small a country as Japan is, that daffodils are a pretty good measure of the season, it seems. And that's it. That's interesting to know, Tim, that daffodils for you will appear in March. I guess a more proper and good and proper time for spring. Japan Monomore says the daffodil, and then there's I guess that's the Latin name for it. Senhinden Bender is a national flower of it's a national flower of Wales, widely associated with St. David's Day on March 1st, along with the leek, of course. Wonderful. I didn't know that. That's wonderful to know. Well, let's salute the daffodil. Tim says, or that'd be Robert says, there is a book I've begun to read, The Sea by John Banville. Ooh, that sounds good. Elvina says to Robert, my son is a mechanic and often finds interesting things in engine bays and under cars. He once got jabbed by a porcupine quill in the head. Ow. Lori says, no sign of daffodils here in Ontario, but soon. Lots of folks from Canada. But soon, Monday, Waiarton Willie will tell us how long till spring. Oh, that would be the groundhog, right? The Groundhog Day? Nice. And I'm just mentioning my comment about Canada. We have, of course, we have a couple of other people here in comments who are also hailing from the great nation of Canada. And may I, as an American, offer my apologies to my neighbors and friends in Canada for my country's um, attitude and comments of late about. I don't usually get into politics here, but Canada is a great friend of the United States, and I'm embarrassed by the way that America as a whole has been regarding our friends, our neighbors next door. Okay, politics aside. Elvina says to Robert, by the way, I'm reading The Wager by David Grain. Pirates, shipwrecks, treasures, and great history. Ooh, that sounds wonderful. Japan Monomore says problem finding low salt or no salt meals in Japanese convenience stores. Yeah. Japan's a salty country for sure. Tim says, actually managed to walk today, did you? But we're very muddy. A large dog came to say hi to me, so covered all over with muddy paw prints. It was jumping up on you, huh? Nice. There's Nagoya John. Hey, Nagoya John, welcome. Good morning to you. Nagoya, if you're in Nagoya just being just a couple bullet train stops down the line from where I live here in Shizuoka. Lori says, I like your new bench by the river, Kurt. Thank you. Isn't that great? That was a find last week. Yumiko and I were antiquing in Yaizu, and maybe we'll go back there today. And there was a bench outside this very eclectic antique store, and I picked it up and was able to take it home, and I've got a bench by the river. Yes, I love that one. And there was another bench there that she offered for sale as well. Maybe I'll go back and get it, but I need a bigger car, I think. Or I could go by myself. Japan Monomore, I'm going to fold the front seat down. Japan Monomore says, maybe life is like a ship going through calm and that is a great way to describe it, Japan Monomore. I really, really do like that. In Going Alone, I talked about it like a swimming through the sea, like an open ocean swimmer, because when you're swimming through the sea and the rough, big waves come, it kind of, fills your mouth with water and stuff like that. But I think your ship analogy is better, or simile, or whatever that is. That's great. Robert says, Elvina, I was recommended that book by Steve Leto as an example of a beautiful example of written English. Ooh, I love that we've got literary fans here in the comments. This is wonderful. And I know that Evelyn is as well. Japan Monomore says to Evelyn, yes, it may be for and there's something in Greek, Galamaki and Slovaklaki and Gyro. Gyro? I don't know. Sounds good. Isn't that a sandwich? Tim says, I don't think they ever washed in the old days. Yeah, there's problem solved. Well, if you call that a solution, right? Jill says, hey, Jill. Gigi, that is. Gigi, we talked before. We have a house in Okinawa, let us know if you come to the island. Ooh, that would be really nice. Would love to come visit you there. That would be nice. Thank you, and congratulations on having a house in such a beautiful place. Vivian Wessam 7899 says hello from Rio de Janeiro. Good to see you. Japan Monomura says before you ask Kurt, kalamaka slavaka is what they call yakitori in Japan. Ah, okay, that's good to know. I didn't know. Robert says crockery feels like a very playful word. Crockery. It does. It does. Gigi says we also lived in Shizuoka for 2 years. Now Okinawa. Very nice. Wow. Robert, was that Shizuoka City or Shizuoka Prefecture? Which of course it would be both if you lived in Shizuoka City. Robert says hello to Vivian. Robert says hello to Nagoya and John. Gigi says we lived in Gotemba for the 2 years near the outdoor outlet mall. I know exactly where that is. Nice view of Mount Fuji up there. Robert says Kurt, apologies are Canada's job. I get it. I get it. I was watching yesterday. Just happened to watch a Jim Gaffigan comedy. Listen to comedy sometimes, and he was talking about the irony of folks from Quebec. He says now think about the difficulty of this. They're French, which means they want to say sorry, but they're Canadian, so they want to apologize for everything. But they're French, so they're not going to apologize for anything, right? So he says like two forces combined together. Interesting. Uh, eh? And Nagoya John says, "Thank you, Kurt. Apology accepted." Ah, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean it most sincerely. Every day, I just have to shake my head at the news. Gee, thank you for the apology, Kurt. We care about our American neighbors to the south. Hopefully, in a couple of years, we'll get things back to normal and we can all be friends again. Nagoya John says, hi to Robert, aka Believe in Yourself. Tim says, I was thinking when you were in the garden and saw the bench by the river, that would be a nice for a picnic in the summer to chill out. Indeed, it would be. I plan to do a lot of stuff there. I just love sitting there and listening to the sound, seeing the water, and it's really neat. Japan Monomer says, have you ever seen any tanuki for sale? Oh, not tanuki, tansu for sale. And for how much, Kurt? I hear old tansu are difficult to find now. Yes, but first, yeah, it would be interesting to see a tanuki for sale. Tansu, which for those that don't know, are cabinetry. Yes, I do see tansu for sale. They are not as common as they were. Just like 10 years ago when I was doing my antique business, I would see tansu all the time, going for selling for nothing because they're so big and nobody knew what to do with them. Now everybody's this whole Japan, even Japan, they're refurbishing their these old houses, and everybody wants them to decorate. You can still get them for a very good price, very good price. I do see them, yeah, but they're like Yumiko and I. In fact, I see them so often enough that Yumiko and Yoko and I are seriously thinking about buying an Akia deep in the countryside, like a real old-fashioned traditional house, just to use as a project house, so that we can buy the tansu that we see and put them to good use on display in a show house. Wouldn't that be fun? Gigi says, retiring from the U.S. government here soon. Will I have to pay Japanese tax on top of the American tax for my pension, Social Security, and government 401k? Okay, guys, I am going to just step aside for a second and address Gigi's question because I think I'm well situated to be able to answer this question. By the way, congratulations on retiring from the U.S. government soon. And by the way, you are joining a fine group of retirees in this group, including myself, Tim, Evelyn, Robert, and I think there's others too who are either retired or on their way to retirement. With regard to, so I guess you're going to be coming to live in Japan after you retire. Here's the long and short of it, and I do have a couple of videos. Maybe that's why you're here. I do have a couple of videos, but take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, long and short of it is that Japan and America have a tax treaty, and a very plainly stated in that tax treaty is that government pensions and Social Security hands off. That's taxable only by the United States. So you're going to have to pay for your taxes on that. Now, on that in the United States, you probably want to report that earnings here in Japan, but Japan's not going to go after it because it's a hands-off thing, kind of a thing. The one distinction, though, is if the pension is not from a government pension, like not I'm talking not talking Social Security. I'm talking about a pension, of course. Just make clearly distinguish that. If it's like a corporate pension, there. But here's the thing: you're gonna need to. Bottom line is you're gonna need to report it. You're gonna need to pay those taxes in Japan, in America, and then report them in Japan. But you're not gonna get double tax. The only because even if they say, yeah, you owe us taxes on it, but then you can say that, but I already paid the tax in the United States. You're not gonna have to get double tax. The only instance where you might find yourself in a situation of potential double taxation is with a Roth IRA, simply because Japan has no such financial vehicle as a Roth IRA. They don't know what to do with it, and you might watch out. So be careful if you have excuse me, money in a Roth. Their tax advice. Hopefully that's helpful to you. I'm learning a lot about that, and I'm not trying to plug my book, but I do have a book called Retiring in Japan that has I basically documented the entire journey of my wife and I of retiring in Japan. You can that book has all kinds of information in it about what we did. But now that I'm paying taxes for the first time, and there's another visitor from China just now. Look at all these China people coming in from China. Yeah, and now that I'm doing the tax thing, mainly making videos and talking about it here. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you, Gigi. And good luck to you, and congratulations on almost reaching retirement. And if you ever have any challenges or questions or problems along the way, you'll find this a very helpful group. The retirees here are been very helpful to me in my journey. Evelyn says, I was at an amateur comedy show in New York City, and Jim Gaffigan was a surprise guest. I couldn't breathe from laughter. Isn't he the funniest? He's my favorite. Even Yumiko laughs at him. And there's someone from Turkey, from Istanbul, just went to Going Alone. Wow, actually, this is fun to kind of call this out. All day long, there's people going to the website. Thank you again for my supporters, because your support allows me to fund that website, which isn't cheap. Gigi says pension is from GS federal government, then you're good. Jill, 401k TSP is traditional, not Roth. Then you're going to be fine. So you're basically, and again, I'm not a tax professional. Check this out with your tax professionals. You both of those, and Gigi, you're in a better place than you can. And there's someone from Germany just went to the website. You're in a better place than you imagine, because here's the why. Both of your Social Security and your pension are going to be taxable in the United States, where you can enjoy the standard deduction, which you won't enjoy in Japan. If you had to pay the taxes here in Japan, you don't get the standard deduction, which means your whole entire thing is taxable. So you're up, and I think the standard deduction, if you're filing, I don't know what it is, single, but if you're filing married. Like me, and your spouse doesn't have to be an American citizen. They don't have to be a resident. They don't even have to be living in America. The standard deduction this year is 31,500. That means your first 31,500 is tax free in the United States and not taxable in Japan. You're in a very good situation. Oh, Jilly Gigi says married wife is Japanese, just like me. My wife's green card expired in 2025. It's not an issue. You and I can both um, file jointly. We can enjoy the joint standard deduction of 31,500 in the current year. I know this might change on a going forward basis. You're in a very good place. And not to mention, and I'm sorry guys if Gigi and I are here going on and on about this, but not to mention the current exchange rate. Now I based my retirement on a planned exchange rate of a 100 yen to the dollar. I was trying to be very conservative. So as long as the yen exchange rate is the ridiculous thing it is right now, um, pile that on top of everything. It's a very good time to retire in Japan from America. Good luck to you. If you ever have any follow up questions, or you want to talk to me about this, dinnerbytheriver@gmail.com is my email address. Just send me in your email. It's just like it sounds, dinner by the river, like having a dinner by the river. Awesome, and thanks. You're very welcome, Gigi. Gigi, I was there when it was 76 yen to the dollar, so I'm very happy. It's a good time. Get over here, get your house bought, and get all the stuff while it's still cheap. All right, well, guys, That's I think we made it to the end. Lots of interaction and lots of new people here too as well. Welcome to the newcomers. We hope to see you again. It's always we always have a pretty nice little group here. It's always nice to have new people come in as well. Everybody is welcome. Like I said before, if you find yourself coming through the Shizuoka area, there is a bullet train stop here. Just give me a week's heads up so I can adjust my schedule, and I'll meet you at the station. We'll have tea, have lunch, whatever. Robert says, "Thank you, Kurt, by all, and thank you for again for sorry for yesterday's audio issues. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe, but not too safe." Evelyn says, "Thanks for the company, friends, old and new." Andrew, hi, Andrew. There's Andrew, just chiming in right at the end. Hi, Kurt. Nice to see you are doing well. After I had all this retirement talk and another Canadian, so we had another Canadian in the house. Andrew just showed up. Another retired Canadian like me who's gone back and has a part-time job and enjoying his part-time job. So we were talking all about Canada earlier, Andrew. So it's good to see you. Tim says, "Have a great Sunday." You too, Tim. Gigi says, "House is paid for in Okinawa." Oh, that's right. You already bought a house. "I will keep watching. Thanks as I took over." No, no, it's not. Don't feel like you took over the chat. That's what this is about. This is free form. Go as long as you want, as short as we want. This is kind of like a little pub or a coffee shop where we just all hang out. It's usually the same group of people every day. So it's good to see you. Welcome to the group, Gigi. Lori says, "Have a great day." You too. It's great to see you as well, Lori. Japan Monomore. Bye. Andrew and Robert, everybody, take care. Be safe, but not too safe. I'm heading upstairs for coffee with the fellas. Bye bye. Bye, Robert.